Where did you get that? You don't think I've been studying this for like months? You want to pile drive him into the cement and then shake his hand after the game.
You usually shook the other guy's hand after the
Most
game.
of the time.
You ready to play?
Let's go. Let's have some fun.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Ho, H to the O-V. I used to move snowflakes by the OZ.
He is the man who proved everyone wrong, set the standard, and rewrote the NFL record book along the way. Now you can find him on Sundays calling America's Game of the Week on Fox. He dominates the business world, companies like Noble, and my favorite, Card Vault by Tom Brady. He is a 7-time Super Bowl champion, 5-time Super Bowl MVP, and 3-time most valuable player of the NFL. Tom Brady, welcome to episode 1 of Chasers.
Thanks, KV. I appreciate it. It's kind of fun. I get to be with you, one of my favorite guys in the world, and I get to hold this microphone, look like Bob Barker from The Price is Right.
We'll talk to Fox. I think that we can get you guys some of these in the booth. Premise of the game. We've got 4 mystery cards. There's going to be 1 trivia question for each of them. For the first 3 cards, every question that you get right, you'll get the card, and you'll unlock a chance at the Grail question. Okay?
Great.
So you get all 3 right. You've got 3 shots at the Grail question.
I get the cards?
You get the cards. Cards are going home with you. We'll talk about one caveat later. I've got an idea for the fans at home.
I got a pretty sick collection. I don't know if you know this.
I was going to say, I've seen the, obviously, the new Topps Chrome is out. Topps has the license back.
Yeah.
You've been opening with the kids lately?
The artwork's incredible. All the refractors. The hunt is on for the 1-of-1s.
The 1-of-1, the
Yeah.
ultraviolet 1-of-1. We were hoping to have the 1-of-1 to try to give away today. The financials didn't quite work out on that, and it hasn't been found anyway. So it's out there somewhere.
And if you find it, find me.
Got a buyer. Okay, Tom, you ready to play?
I'm ready. I don't know if you know this, but I've won a lot in my life. So
How much trivia have you done in your life, though? Was that like a
I was in
Michigan
a trivia
thing?
club
Was that
in high school.
No way.
I was in a trivia club, and I love doing it. But the problem is I haven't done it since high school.
We got to get Tom Brady on a game show. Masked Singer,
No.
what do you think?
No, we're not doing that.
Never say never.
No.
Tom, first question for the first card. Who was the first quarterback taken in the 2000 NFL draft? 181 picks before yourself.
Kind of easy. When you're the 199th pick in the draft, you basically remember everybody who was picked before you. And the first quarterback taken that year got drafted by the New York Jets. And he played with, at Marshall, one of my great teammates.
I was wondering.
Randy Gene Moss. And his name was Chad Pennington. Great NFL player. Actually came down to Miami and played down here. Because of that, I always kind of followed him. He was in the AFC East and got a chance to beat him a few times, too. Look at that.
So we'll reveal the first card. That's the 2000 Bowman Chrome. That's a
you go.
pretty familiar card to you, Tom, isn't it?
It was my rookie. It's a very valuable rookie.
I like on this one, the 499. They had it big back then.
Yeah, that's really cool. 327 of 499.
Leading into the draft, was he a guy that you were kind of comparing yourself to?
Chad and I worked out a little bit together. It was kind of a different era. You know, it was a lot harder. I think a lot of the people know each other these days through social media. And I think in the year 2000, it was very different in terms of, our ability to get to know people.
Were there other guys? Obviously, we know famously, you know all the guys who were taken before you. Were you slotting yourself in between any of them? Did you think, Chad, all right, Chad's going to go before me?
I think the mock process was a little bit different, again, because you just don't have all that film that was so accessible through Instagram, through YouTube. Everything there was just a hard copy. Basically saw him at the combine a little bit. You heard about him. There were some mock drafts, but a lot of these people still today, honestly, you don't know much about football. Your mock drafts kind of suck. You just don't have the knowledge. So what is the data in? And then you get crappy data out.
You get the clay and you got to mold it.
You've got to know what it takes to be at this position in order to evaluate it properly.
Obviously, you're saying you were friendly with him, but we saw you get emotional in that interview. Did you hold a grudge against any of those quarterbacks?
Yeah, it wasn't like I held a grudge against the players. I held a grudge against the team.
Yeah.
Like the San Francisco 49ers. I still hate the 49ers because they skipped over me 6 times in the NFL draft. Now, I like the people, but it's just kind of the nameless, faceless program, so to speak, that you go, you know what? You didn't like me, so guess what? I really don't like you.
I've heard you talk about this before. In all sports these days, seeing kind of the camaraderie and friendship even amongst opponents. Do you think there's an element of needing to be a little bit of a jerk or an asshole, at least when you're on the field, in order to be a great?
Absolutely. I think there's got to be an emotional edge that you have to play with. And a lot of that edge to me always came from, how can I get myself fired up and pissed off? Some of the guys that I really looked up to and admired, they didn't have a lot of friends. They weren't there to make friends. They were out there to win the match. And I just don't think if you treat everybody like a brother, you don't want to beat your brother. I mean, I've seen that. I've seen a lot of NFL players who are brothers. Peyton and Eli. Peyton and Eli never liked play. The family didn't like. I think when you have this feeling of love for another player, it's really hard to say, look, I'm going to smash their face in today. Creating like a little bit of an anger, a little bit of an edge.
Yeah, so you make it yourself. It doesn't have to be a real deep-rooted hate, but when you're on that field, fuck that guy.
Yeah. Basically, you want to pile drive him into the cement and then shake his hand after the game.
You
on that day.
usually shook the other guy's hand after the game.
Most of the time. 80%
Got a
of the
little
time.
busy out there sometimes. Okay, 1 for 1. You got one guess at least at the final grill. Let's get on to the next question here. This player led the NFL in yards per reception in 2016 before later turning pro in another sport.
Interesting.
Obviously, there's some baseball overlap.
Yeah,
guys
but
like
nobody
you
did
and-
that. There was no real Bo Jackson players in the last bunch of years. It would have to be kind of a lesser-known sport. I actually think that I know this. And I'll tell you why, because it hits close to home. There was a guy I played with who was actually a phenomenal athlete.
Benny Brady
It's
in the
not
house.
Benny. It's not Benny. I know that he had a big yards per catch that year. Now I'm thinking that he led. That's kind of ridiculous because I do know that after he played for the New England Patriots in 2016 by the name of Chris Hogan.
Wow.
Chris Hogan went on to play
I
pro
thought we were
lacrosse.
going to get you. He went on to play pro lacrosse.
Yeah, in Boston.
For the Boston Cannons lacrosse club. Shout
Wow.
out to Paul Rabel in the PLL.
Absolutely. And Chris Hogan was also a star lacrosse player at Penn State. Ridiculous speed. Became a huge contributor on our 2016 Super Bowl win against the Atlanta Falcons in Houston, Texas. Everyone kind of knows how that ended. Made a huge third down catch on the last touchdown drive for us before the end of regulation. And in the AFC Championship game that year, I think he had like 170 or 180 yards.
He went off. I thought we were going to shake you with that. I thought you were leaning towards you were going to go Edelman, thinking he went pro in some random sport afterwards.
Yeah,
But
I love Jules, but Jules
good.
was a one sport guy.
2 for 2.
Are you surprised?
You're good
surprised
at this.
I'm 2 for 2?
You famously a 2-sport guy, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that there's something to be said for playing multiple sports later into your high school career and not just specializing in one thing?
Absolutely. The bigger problem with this specialty portion is, I do believe that cross training is really good to give your body kind of different things to work on. Your brain's still forming at that point, creating all the kind of the brain-body connection neural pathways for different types of sports. The other interesting part of growth is struggling with things. So like naturally you might have a sport that you're really good at. Let's say it's football. And you also want to play baseball, but you're not quite as good at baseball. The reality is, if you're not as good at baseball, you're going to struggle a little bit more in baseball, and you still have to figure out how to overcome the parts where you're struggling. Eventually, you're going to struggle in football at some point. So maybe you use baseball as a catalyst to learn how to build your self-confidence and self-esteem. And I think a lot of parents are like, hey, let's funnel the kid into the one sport that he's good at, but so much of being a great athlete is failing at something that you put a lot of time and energy into. When you fail at something, it forces you to go back and hone your skills and really work on the resilience piece in your brain body that needs to happen in order to make improvements.
Was there a sport that you really struggled at? Like we're picking Brady last at recess. Was there something that created that for you?
More my academics.
But same principle, right?
Same principle, less application around that principle because I probably wasn't the best student. But if I looked at football and baseball, I probably struggled in football first, worked hard in baseball. Then I started struggling in baseball later and got better in football.
Third string in 0-10 freshman year. Is that right? What was the record?
I was 0-7 or 0-8 on a freshman team where I was the backup quarterback. Didn't even play. I was so bad they didn't put me in. And I didn't even get an opportunity to be on the field. I remember the coach screaming at me from the sideline, Brady, you look like you're running in slow motion. I was like, Dick, I am.
I think that's cool to hear for kids, though, because these days with you have rankings going all the way to middle school now, and I think there's so many kids who
don't pay attention to that kid.
Freshman year, forget third string on the freshman team. They don't make varsity their freshman year, and they're like, my career is over, Yeah. I can't do it.
I would say this, to all the kids out there, if I were you, I would want to be the 30th ranked kid, 40th ranked kid. I want you to have a chip on your shoulder. I want you to have to figure out and watch people who are better than you, how they do it, so that you have the opportunity to watch what they're doing without all the expectation and pressure, and you can go enjoy something and get better at it. I don't want you to be the best of the best and you think you got everything figured out. You don't learn the lessons of competitiveness, discipline, resilience, toughness, all the things that really matter over a period of time. You better figure out how to deal with that in your life or you're never going to have a sustainable career.
This is supposed to be a game show, and instead we're dropping wisdom that it's going to carry generations here.
Sports and cards, let's go.
Third question. You're 2 for 2. You got 2 guesses at the final grail. I think you're going to need all 3 of them.
Unlikely, KB.
Let's see if you can get this. This starting quarterback and his brother are the only siblings to each throw multiple touchdown passes in an NCAA game.
Bro, you don't think I've been studying this for like months? I mean, this is the easiest one you've given me. Even easier than the Chad Pennington one. You're talking about the number 1 overall pick from the 2026 NFL draft.
Your newest employee, Fernando Mendoza.
And his brother, Alberto. You know what I love about Fernando? Humility, his toughness, performs big in the big moments. And how did you get this signed?
Card Vault found that for us. You ask Card Vault, and 2 days later, a card shows up at your door. It's pretty impressive.
Okay, the good thing about this is now in my collection.
So listen to this. Lived in Boston, now lives in Miami, under-recruited by his state schools, no offers, ends up in the Big Ten, wins a national championship. Does this sound pretty familiar?
That's crazy.
That's Fernando Mendoza for you. There's one thing that he pulled off that you missed. He does have a Heisman Trophy. I've seen your shelf is missing that.
I'm missing that Heisman. And you know what? Interestingly, he went to Cal Berkeley, which was the school that I wanted to go to if I didn't go to Michigan. He certainly had a much better college career than I did.
Fernando's a Raider now as you guys enter this new era in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Have you had a chance to sit down with him since the draft and really talk through some things?
Yes, I have. I had his family over for dinner here one night. We had a great time. I think a lot of it is trust from all of us to say, hey, we want to empower you to be the best player you can be. We want you to fulfill your dreams as a player. And then how can we as an organization help you accomplish that?
Yep.
And I also said, look, it's going to be hard. And I talked about some of the lessons that I've learned as a quarterback, how to gain trust of your teammates, the respect of your coaches every single day, showing up, putting the work in. The good thing about Fernando, in my opinion, is he's got so many intangibles that are hard to teach at this age, and he's wise beyond his years. And that still doesn't mean there's going to be a lot of struggles. There are going to be a lot of struggles. I think for all these young players, everyone who got drafted is not a finished product. And I think part of the issue is all these fan bases create a lot of unrealistic expectations for these young players. But I think it's really important that there's a development process for all these young players. I look how I was developed. It was such a blessing for me not to be the first overall pick. I was able to learn kind of in the shadows behind Drew Bledsoe. When I got my opportunity, I was prepared, and I had confidence at that point. I knew the system. I think a lot of it for young players is when you get out on the field and you want to begin to expose yourself to the pro game, you want to have a lot of confidence in at least the playbook, the players around you, the opponents you're facing, and sometimes that takes a year or two to get kind of those things under your belt.
So what's a great year from Fernando look like to you?
Well, it's just constant improvement,
Yeah.
a little bit better every day. And where that takes them, who knows? It's always about the process for improvement.
We need to get it on the record now. Are we officially transitioning LFG? Is now Let's Flip and Go?
No.
Fernando, we'll take that up with the trademark office. It's a good thing, honestly. You can get your own LFG.
Like that.
Let's Flip and Go.
We're flipping champs. Let's go.
Did his youngest brother come to dinner? I got to ask. Have you seen he's doing the broadcasting stuff on social media? It's pretty cool.
That's right, Max?
Yeah.
I have not. He didn't for some reason.
But you know about him.
I've seen Max give an interview with his brother Fernando.
Wow,
And Max
love that.
is very impressive.
We gotta get him in the booth, maybe.
I love that. I'd love to, get over there and mentor him a little bit. It's pretty unbelievable how the poise, the composure such a young kid has. Good job, Max. Keep
I'm
it
a
up.
fan. I'd love to get him on. We need him as a guest here.
Yeah.
Okay. 3 for 3. You've got 3 new cards in the collection. The 4th card is the Grail card. This is a little bit different. We're going to show you this card ahead of time. It is fresh out of the 2025 Topps Chrome, the Tom Brady Ultraviolet.
Oh.
We did not have this
Where
card
did
until
you get
yesterday.
that?
We drove up. We picked it up from Card Vault. This is the first time you've had this card in your hand. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah,
Some of the coolest art
insane.
that I've seen on a trading card. I think this card is sick.
It's incredible. I love that. The depiction there of my face is pretty cool.
Did you talk to them? Were you sharpen the chin a little bit? Were you telling them some notes? And
That's what they do. That's what all the kids do.
so for this question, it's going to be about Tom Brady, the card you have in your hand.
If I don't know this, we have a problem.
It's a Tom
Okay.
Brady question, but it's a deep cut.
Okay.
In week 13 of the 2007 NFL season, you trail Baltimore 24-20.
Okay.
50 seconds left on the clock.
Yep.
We all know already that you threw a game-winning touchdown pass.
Teddy.
This is a pretty famous
Jabbar
season.
Gaffney.
Jabbar Gaffney, I was going to say. Most people know that that's who caught the touchdown. That's not the question, though.
Oh, interesting.
Who was the defensive back in coverage?
Oh, okay. So in the secondary, of course, was Ed Reed, my nemesis. Ed, I love you.
You remember the play?
Yeah. It's called Sticks, X deep return. Jab was the X. So he basically ran an in cut and then twirled back out. So he kind of pressed the safety. And the interesting part, I remember this, it was not thrown on the corner. I remember the corner was Samari Roll, and on the other side was Chris McAllister.
Great duo.
And the two safeties, Ed Reed, but it wasn't on Ed. I would have remembered that because I remember there was a highlight where Ed like slammed his helmet or something like that. The nickel I thought was Corey Ivy. So it wasn't him. The other safety. Yeah. DeJuan Landry?
Wow.
Am I right?
It's
I got
DeJuan
it?
Landry. Dewan Landry stumbled a little bit coming out of the break.
Yes. Dewan Landry stumbles and jab worked him in. The corner was kind of rolled. They were pressing jab. He went inside of him, back out. I had a lot of time in the pocket. I do remember that I was kind of standing there like a statue, as Dante Scarnecchia, our great line coach, like an iron deer on a lawn. That was me. Standing in the middle of the pocket, great protection up front, had a chance to scan the whole field, look to Watson, I had Welker, I had Moss, back to Jabbar Gaffney, Tutty.
I grew up in Baltimore, grew up a Ravens fan. There was a slight bobble on the play.
I don't know about it. Never lost control. Listen to
I don't know if that rule
relax,
was there.
Blandino.
That's insane. You got the Samari roll, too. I thought that's where we were going to get you. You're kind of unwinding it in real time.
Yeah.
How do you build that library in your head?
I think it's pretty fascinating because I don't just remember the names. I also remember the visuals.
Yep.
Like the way the sky looked, how loud the crowd was. I remember the wind pattern. I remember the chill in the air. We were actually going with the wind on that play. I remember the colors of the jerseys.
What were the Ravens wearing?
Specific scenes, black on black. Yeah. I remember Ray Lewis, his face mask. There was an intensity of these moments, which it's like clear and present danger. And I think because all your senses are truly engaged, there's parts that really stand out when you have these really extreme moments. And I don't know why your brain captures certain things, but the cool part for me is I still see them from my eyes. It's like the visual is not just what like the TV screen might be.
Yeah.
It's actually what I saw in the visuals I had. So that unique experience is really meant for me and me only.
Do you hope that your kids find their thing that they can apply that same mindset to and love that same way?
I think so. There's nothing more important to me than finding, and I guess the word is this, find an obsession. Not even a love, something you're absolutely obsessed with. If you're obsessed with it, you will create discipline around that obsession. And if you have a work ethic, you will be able to make massive improvements and learn over the course of your entire life. So I was obsessed with football. I was obsessed with throwing a football. All those obsessions led to amazing discipline over a period of time. Find an obsession. If you find that, you're going to live a great, fulfilled life, and you're going to have a ton of fun doing it.
Okay, hang on. I've been thinking as you were talking of another touchdown. I don't know the answer to this one yet. We'll find it afterwards. We'll look up the answer. 2020 divisional playoffs, Bucks at Saints.
Yeah.
I think the first touchdown was to Mike Evans, Bucks' first touchdown. I'm
Yep.
not sure what the score was.
Yep.
Corner and coverage.
Marshawn Lattimore, easy. Oh my God, that one's really easy.
So you're telling me we don't need to fact check that one. We can trust you. That was Marshawn Lattimore.
I think that one is, in the bank right there. Where's my extra card for that? You're asking extra questions, and I'm not getting extra cards. I feel like I'm doing this for free.
You've taken home the full suite. I do actually have a bonus card for you here today. There's a special Topps baseball card. Two-sport athlete, Michigan quarterback, drafted in the MLB. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yours truly, me.
Tom, I'm talking about Drew Henson, New York Yankees
up.
draft pick.
He was my second guess.
8
Drew
games,
Henson.
1 hit. 1 hit more than Tom Brady in the MLB. We're still out there hunting for the other Topps Michigan quarterback card, the Tom Brady 12 of 50. If baseball doesn't work out, there's always football.
I want that.
Okay, Tom, the PC grew today. We've got 5 great cards if we count the Henson. Shout out to Card Vault always. Go find your local Card Vault. They're all over the place now. The store's growing. Talk about that for 1 second. The process with Card Vault, are you loving it?
Loving it, loving the hobby, and re-engaging with something that I did throughout my entire life. I was a big collector of cards. I love baseball cards. What I want to do with some of my cards, find a way to display them and put them in the card vaults all around the country so that people can kind of come in and see
Little museum.
what my collection looked like when I was a kid and things that those cards did to kind of inspire me and really allow me to grow my love of the sports and grow my love of the players that played the sports that I watched every single day, baseball, football.
Before I let you go, one more question.
Okay.
What is Tom Brady chasing in 2026?
Being a little bit better in every aspect of my life. There's a lot of learnings from life, and you get a little older, and I'm almost 50 years old now. I just want to be the best I could be for my kids. I want to be the best teammate I can be. I want to be a little bit more focused, a little bit more determined, a little more empathy, all the things that I think continue to round you out as you grow.
That's Tom Brady, and this is Chasers.
Thanks, KB. Good job. That was fun.
Tom, real quick, the UV.
Yeah.
You can say no. We can cut all this afterwards. I think it'd be cool if we gave it away from Card Vault to someone in the comments.
Yeah.
Are you cool with it?
Yeah.
And we'll find you another one if you want it.
Totally.
All right. We won't cut this now. The Tom Brady UV, held by Tom Brady himself, see? It's in hand.
Bada boom.
It's coming to someone in the comments. We'll find out how we're giving it away. Stay tuned.
Thing ain't lie. I done came through the block and everything that's fly. I'm like Che Guevara with bling on, I'm complex. I never claimed I had wings on, nigga, I get my by any means on. Whenever there's a drought, get your umbrellas out because that's when I